Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to classic foods of the 1980s from Ready for History. So this will be 1980s food in America. If there's foods I could think from this era, I'm gonna say like, it's not a food, but like slushy. Say you go to like a shop, you'll get like a slushy, a mixed flavour slushy, and you'll get hot dogs, 2 hot dogs with mustard and ketchup on it. You know, that's just screaming 1980s to me. I don't actually know what food would be from this era. It would just probably be how it is now, just a little bit more tame. Like you probably won't have like all these funky things added to it. Maybe you will. Maybe there'll be some onion on it, or maybe they're feeling fancy in these times. Some bacon lardon sort of bits just sprinkled all over the hot dog. But no, I don't know what to expect. To be fair, it's probably just going to be similar to how it is now. But we're going to check this out anyway. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are in the description to my Patreon. We can see reactions that I can't post to YouTube. And let's just see some classic foods from 1980s America.
80s was all about big hair, big music, big movies, and big trends. Snacks and foods in the 80s were the same way. Well, minus the hair part. People still enjoyed items from previous decades, but there were some new things. This video will discuss some of the foods that helped shape the 80s. Some of these are still around, and some of them are long gone. There are very few kids who don't like pudding.
Jello.
There is actually something better than plain pudding, frozen pudding.
Oh.
Companies had recipes.
Wait, frozen jelly. Oh, that could be a hit. I've never even thought of doing that, but that's actually mad. I've never thought of having frozen jelly. I wonder how different it is. That must be such a weird concept.
Recipes on how you can make pudding pops way back in the 60s. However, it wasn't until 1979 when General Foods decided to give it a try themselves. They released Jell-O pudding pops, and thanks to a famous spokesman named Bill Cosby, they really took off in the 1980s.
Oh God.
They came in chocolate, vanilla, and chocolate and vanilla swirl. These delicious popsicles remained popular until they were discontinued in the 1990s. Somehow, they just weren't making a profit off of these tasty treats.
Bet they slapped.
One of the 80s coolest snack bars was the Peanut Butter Bopper, which came out.
Peanut butter boppers, fudge chip, creamy peanut butter, and more. See, this is the sort of food now that would be promoted as healthy, right? It's probably not healthy at all in the slightest, right? But I bet it tastes so goddamn good.
In 1985 by General Mills.
Oh.
Originally, they were available in fudge chip, honey crisp, peanut butter, and by 1986 they added fudge graham and cookie crunch to the lineup. The bars had a soft, creamy center made of real peanut butter that would melt in your mouth. The outside was where all the crunchy flavors were at. Within 90 days of their release, they captured 9% of the snack market. Sadly, these are no longer available in the grocery stores.
I wonder how something like this can do so well and then suddenly just stop doing well. Like, I assume people didn't just stop liking them, and even today, if they were around, people would still like them. So I wonder what the reasoning behind that would be.
If you were a cookie lover in the 80s, then there's a good chance you tried the Keebler Magic Middles. Kids everywhere seem to have them in their lunch boxes. These were shortbread cookies with either fudge or peanut butter filling in the center. Despite their popularity, they were discontinued so they could use the equipment that manufactured them for another item.
Oh.
People have been wanting these to relaunch for years, and there's even a Facebook page that's dedicated to make it happen. However, these cookies are still missing in action.
Someone else just recreate them.
The 1980s saw a full-blown war going on with sodas. Coca-Cola is one of the most successful soda companies in the world. The brand is recognized almost all over the world, but in the 1980s, the company experimented with some new products.
Oh.
Coca-Cola already had a Diet Cola named Tab, which was popular, but in 1982, they came out with Diet Coke. This contained artificial sweeteners instead of sugar, and it took over the market by storm. A year later,
I absolutely hate Diet Coke. It's you taste it and it tastes like I guess just cheap Coke that you buy from the shop. Like say you get like branded Coke from like I don't know, just a random grocery store. They always make the price so much cheaper because it's obviously cheaper stuff inside it. But Diet Coke tastes like that. It just doesn't taste. It doesn't taste like actual Coca-Cola, you know. I'm not a fan, but you know what? If you're trying to lose the weight, I respect it. You got to do what you got to do. I just don't like the taste. Same with Coke Zero. I mean, Coke. I don't really know the difference between Coke Zero and Coke Diet Coke. To me, they're the same thing, but I don't look into it like that. I don't actually know what the reasoning for the name difference is.
Came out with caffeine-free Diet Coke, and this was also highly successful. With the success of the Diet Cokes, they began to wonder if they could improve the original formula. Coca-Cola had been losing sales to diet drinks as well as other non-cola beverages.
Jeez.
Pepsi was also coming on strong in the 80s with some brilliant advertising. Then came the blind taste test, which showed that the public preferred Pepsi over Coca-Cola. So Coke went to work and came out with a new formula, and they called it New Coke. It launched on April 23, 1985, and made big news. Initially, the sales were good, but then quickly sales went back down to the way they were, and the public demanded the classic formula be brought back. Manny said the new Coke tasted like Pepsi, and even Pepsi ran ads with people saying, "I know why Coke did it now."
Damn.
On July 11, 1985, Coca-Cola executives announced the return of the original formula. The Netflix show Stranger Things, which takes place in the 80s, featured New Coke, and it brought it back for a little bit, but it has since faded away into soda history.
Jeez. Shout out
Keeping
New
with
Coke.
sodas, there were also a couple others worth mentioning. Hubba Bubba Bubblegum decided to get it.
Hubba Bubba made drinks. I mean, the Hubba Bubba... I can't say. It's like a tongue twister. The Hubba Bubba gum is very sweet. Like, we all know that. It's good. Like, as a kid, you love it, right? But as a drink, I don't really know how it would really taste. If you're trying to factor in the taste of the gum. But I'm assuming it was a hit for a bit of time.
In on the soda game for a while. And then another soda came in on the action and did quite well.
Jolt.
Jolt Cola came out with decent popularity. Most thought it tasted like an RC Cola, but it had much more caffeine. Eventually, the popularity of these two sodas faded, but occasionally you can still find a Jolt Cola.
Huh.
Soda companies were also trying their hand in the gum market, and they did fairly well for a while. Dr. Pepper might have been the most popular, but you could
This sounds banging. Dr. Pepper flavoured gum, or let's just say Pepsi flavoured gum or whatever, 7-Up gum. That sounds quality.
also find others like RC and 7-Up.
Oh, damn.
Hershey Bar None was a chocolate bar that was released in California in 1986, and it went nationwide in 1987. The original formula was a cocoa wafer, chocolate filling, peanuts, and a milk chocolate coating. In 1992, the product was reformulated into 2 wafers with chocolate coating, peanuts, and caramel. It was discontinued in 1997 with little fanfare, but you can still find it sold in Mexico.
Damn.
Do you remember Tato skins made by Keebler? They were released in the mid-80s and they were made from potato peels. Eventually, they added cheddar cheese and bacon, sour cream and chives, and barbecue by the later part of the 80s. These snacks by Keebler are long gone, but there are some similar ones made by a restaurant chain named TGIF.
TGI Fridays. So what TGI Fridays is like it's in the UK. And I always thought it was just a UK restaurant, and it's just trying to copy out like the American experience, the American dining experience. But I saw on a video maybe like a month and a half ago that there was one in like New York. So is TGI Fridays in the US, and is it popular in the US, or is it just one of those sort of random restaurants you just go to occasionally, or you just sort of know of it but you don't go to it? Because in the UK it's pretty decent. I mean, I liked it. You can get like corn dogs there. I didn't get them when I went because I've only been like twice. But I enjoyed the food, to be fair, but maybe it's still not the best representation. But yeah, they're making their crisps and stuff. Fair enough.
The 1980s saw some products that were completely different, and fruit roll-ups were definitely one of those. They were made by Fruit Corners and can still be found in supermarkets today. But the company also had another product they introduced in 1986 called Fruit Wrinkles. These were pieces of wrinkled fruit that came in little packages. They sort of rode in on the coattails of the popular California raisins that were all over the
I remember these Sun-made raisins. We got them here as well. I remember these.
place in the mid-1980s. Kids everywhere were singing the song, wearing the shirts, and collecting the figures, as well as various other types of merchandise.
Is that Mr. Potato Head? What's going
Were
on?
you a fan of Hostess pudding pies? These came in chocolate and vanilla and were quite popular for a while because they
This
were
is the same company that makes Twinkies, right? I think it is.
so different. They have been discontinued by Hostess, but there are some other lesser-known bakery brands that still make them. Bonkers was a popular candy that was introduced in the mid-1980s by Nabisco. If you remember the commercials, they feature people who would have giant fruit fall and bonk them on the head. It came in assorted fruit flavors as well as chocolate. They seemed sort of like a piece of gum, but it was actually a chewy piece of candy. The product is no longer sold, but there have been
so kind of like a Starburst, I guess. Just Starburst, but maybe not as good, or maybe it was better, just more low-key, pretty much.
Constant rumors of its comeback.
I think anyway.
In 1983, Cheetos released a new flavor of their popular snack. It was bacon flavored, and it was released in the Crunchy and the Puffs. They are no longer on the market, but Chester does have bacon cheddar fries in case you get the craving.
Oh.
Nabisco seemed like they were always coming out with something new, and in the 80s they had Swiss cheese crackers. These had holes like a real piece of Swiss cheese, but the flavor didn't quite match up with the cheese. They were still cheesy, crisp, and delicious though. They have been discontinued, but occasionally you'll see some other brands that have something similar. In 1984, PepsiCo introduced Slice, which was a soft drink made with real fruit juice. Well, a small percentage of fruit juice anyways. This sweet fizzy drink was a big...
10%, let's say 10% real fruit juice. That's mad. With 10% real juices. And that's supposed to be a flex. This can's tiny. Like, this much of it's real and the rest of it's just fraudulent, whatever you want to call it. I mean, they're being honest. But I just like how they're sort of showing it like it's like a good thing.
This sweet fizzy drink was a big success, but the product disappeared from the shelves in 2005.
Diet Apple.
A company named New Slice Ventures LLC acquired the rights, so you may still see some of these in Canada and the US. In the mid-80s, Keebler came out with Tribbles, which was little bite-sized cookies in a little package. They came in chocolate chip and mint chocolate and were often found in vending machines. By the turn of the 90s, they had completely disappeared.
Tribbles.
If you lived in the 80s, then I'm sure you couldn't escape the burger war that was going on. This war had been going on since the 50s when Burger King released their Whopper sandwich. But Wendy's came on strong with a line of commercials that used the slogan, "Where's the beef?" McDonald's was still trying to crush out the competition. In 1984, they released the McDLT. It came in a unique styrofoam package that kept one side hot and the other side cool. The bottom bun had the meat on one side, and the other side had the top bun, lettuce, tomato, cheese, pickles, and sauces. The consumer would then combine the two for a fresher taste. This burger became really popular, but McDonald's discontinued it in late 1990 because of the styrofoam packaging.
Yeah, surely they can just
The 80s also
try it with different packaging, unless styrofoam is very good for like maintaining heat, whether it's cold or hot. Maybe that's the case, to be fair.
saw its share of cereals that were connected with movies or shows. Remember C-3POs by Kellogg's?
Oh.
It was launched in 1984, about a year after the movie Return of the Jedi came out. Rainbow Bright had her own cereal, and it was made by Ralston. Post Cereal created Smurf Berry Crunch, which was a fruity red and blue cereal that came out in 1983. A few years later, Smurf Magic Berries made their debut with mini marshmallows. Even Nintendo got in on the cereal market in the late 80s with their 2-in-1 Super Mario Bros. And Zelda-themed cereal. Keeping on the topic of cereals, you may remember Dinky Donuts cereal, which was released in 1980 by Ralston Purina.
Dinky
The commercials
Donuts.
featured kids in suits and business attire who acted like executives, giving expert opinions on the cereal.
Dang.
In the early 80s, Kellogg's came out with
Banana Frosted Flakes. Okay. Banana flavored Frosted Flakes. I'm so weird at banana. I said this before. I love bananas, but I hate banana flavored things. I don't hate it. I dislike it. Like, I love milkshakes. I couldn't ever get a banana flavored milkshake. So I don't know how I'd feel about this, but I probably would like it. I just think, for some reason, just the taste of pure banana as like a... I'm going to say like a fake flavour. Like, not fake, but a modified flavour. Whatever you want to say. Just, I'm not a fan of it. But I love bananas. I'm such a weirdo.
with banana frosted flakes, which were sweet, but it never quite caught on, and it only lasted on the shelves for about 3 years. But the 80s did see some
cereal.
successful cereals released. General Mills
Wait,
introduced
this had bubble gum as like a little surprise for it. I would have loved that as a kid, man.
cereals released.
But cereal it's gone so downhill, man. The fact that you don't get any toys or like things like this now on cereals is so depressing. All you get now is like things on the actual packaging saying, "Oh, if you scan this code, you may have a chance of winning this." Like this stupid stuff. Like, come on, man.
General Mills introduced Cinnamon Toast Crunch in 1984, and America has been eating this crunchy cereal ever since.
Yes, goated.
Not only did Tops make the bubble gum in your baseball cards or Garbage Pail Kids cards, but they also made the gum that came in the
Are
little...
you telling me they used to have bubble gums in like when you used to like get like sports cards and stuff or like stickers? They would have bubble gum within that. Where is the world gone now? Bro, we just get cards or stickers. I say, well, I've not got these for ages, but when I was younger, I used to just get my cards and stuff. Wouldn't have any bubble gum in it or anything. God damn, the world's gone mad. I would have loved this, bro. Gum every time you're collecting your stickers and stuff. That would be quality.
or Garbage Pail Kids cards, but they also made the gum that came in the little juice cartons. There was no kid in the 80s that could resist these. They came in different flavors like grape, orange, and apple. The flavor was incredible for about 30 seconds, and then you would have to chow on more until you had the whole carton gone in about 2 minutes. It's possible that these little juice cartons can be found somewhere, but it's certainly not as popular with kids today as it was in the early 80s.
That's mad.
Perhaps one of the greatest things in the 1980s was the Oreo Big Stuff. It was a humongous Oreo cookie that was about 10 times the size of a normal one. It was introduced in 1984 and it was sold in a box of 10. It was on the market for about 7 years before it was discontinued.
Damn, they
Since
stopped
that time, Oreo has always experimented with different cookies. Oreo, if you're listening, I think it might be time for a comeback on this big cookie.
Yeah, bring it back. I want to try it.
During the 80s, the McDLT wasn't the only experiment McDonald's had. In 1981, they released the McRib, and it has been...
The McRib, bro. I've heard things about this. I mean, I don't know how I would feel about McDonald's rib. Like, I don't know about that. But it sounds like it could have been good. I don't know what to expect from this, but I love my ribs. And McDonald's, they're good at making cheap, or cheapish now, because it's quite a bit more expensive now. Cheapish fast food. This looks very iffy though. I'm not gonna lie.
On and off the menus ever since. It's not actually a rib, but rather processed pork meat covered in barbecue sauce in a bun.
There you go.
People usually get excited when the sandwich returns.
Wait, so it still comes back? Damn.
In 1983, McDonald's also released the Chicken McNuggets. These deep-fried pieces of chicken have been on the menu ever since, and almost every kid has eaten them at one time or another. It's certainly now a classic.
McDonald's introduces Chicken McNuggets to its national meal, the national launch, blah blah blah. Wait, my door's just open. McDonald's celebrates its 25-year anniversary of Chicken McNuggets. Oh, so it's just the history of them.
From the Golden Arches. Hot Pockets are a microwavable pastry with fillings such as ham and cheese or pepperoni pizza. But do you remember them hitting the frozen food aisle in 1983? They quickly became the snack food of choice for kids after school, college students, and overworked parents. Most people have probably tried one at some point, and there are many different flavors on the market today. Reese's Pieces were not new in the 1980s. Tiny peanut butter candy pieces made their debut in 1978, but it was the 80s when they really took off. More specifically, it was 1982 following the release of the movie E.T. by Steven Spielberg. Within weeks of its release, sales shot up by 65%.
Damn.
Legend has it that Mars was offered the opportunity with M&M's to be featured in the film first, but they declined the offer.
Wow.
If that's true, I'm sure they were kicking themselves.
What's a bigger chocolate brand in the US, Reese's or M&M's? Because M&M's are only really known for, like, I guess the the small little ball things, like the sort of that are similar to Reese's Pieces. Like Reese's has obviously got Reese's Pieces, you got like you got cereals, you got loads of different chocolate variations. Obviously the Reese's cups, which are my favorite. So I guess maybe in the US Reese's is bigger, but I feel like throughout the world M&Ms are bigger. But I don't really know, because Reese's Pieces you don't really find in the UK. They're really hard to find unless you go to a US style shop where you buy US sweets and stuff. M&Ms, you'll find them literally anywhere. And I do prefer Reese's Pieces as well. I do like them, but I feel like they're just maybe for select people who like peanut butter flavored stuff. M&Ms are obviously more chocolatey and stuff, but yeah, I wonder which is bigger in the US, Reese's or M&Ms.
Doritos were certainly not new in the 1980s. In fact, they have their roots in the 1960s.
Jeez.
But in 1986, Cool Ranch
Look at the packaging, bro. It's so different.
Doritos were released to the public. This new flavor was completely different than anything else on the market. Even today, these tasty chips still have no problem selling. Giggles were cookies made by Nabisco, and they were introduced in the 80s, but they were only sold for about a decade. These were shortbread cookies filled with fudge and vanilla cream. In a way, they were like Oreos, but Giggles had silly faces on them that would make you, well, giggle.
Classic.
The 1980s saw a lot of different food come and go throughout the decade.
Is that orange flavoured cereal? I have never ever tried orange flavoured cereal in my life. I can't lie though. Bran Flakes, not my favourite cereal, but them with, or even just cornflakes, brown flakes with orange juice. It's good, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. But orange flavored cereal, okay, with milk, damn.
Saw a lot of different food come and go throughout the decade and even after. But many of the different foods are here to stay, and they are just as popular now as they were back then. I hope you enjoyed this little walk down memory lane as we took a closer look at some of the foods from the 1980s.
Well, there we go. Some of these are still here today. Some of them I've never heard of in my life. But yeah, definitely a lot of it's, I guess, started that it sort of created foods that are very relevant and or sweets or drinks or whatever, not healthy foods, but just, you know, snacking foods that are still with us today, that we live off on some of our favourite foods like currently. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction, and until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.